Louisiana Outdoors TV, brought to you by Progressive Waste Solutions, Friendly Power Sports, and Rotolo's Pizzeria.
Hi, and welcome to Louisiana Outdoors TV. The rut's on in a state that happens to have it where the only thing you can hunt with during one of the hottest action times of the year is a bow and arrow. And for a couple of us good old Southern boys, that's right up our alley. This week, we're going to Iowa.
Rotolo's Pizzeria and Kids Fun Zone, located in Pearl River, Louisiana, is a full-service restaurant and sports bar featuring 13 big-screen TVs, Italian cuisine, and weekly live music for mom and dad, all while the kids enjoy supervised play in the 3,000-square-foot Fun Zone, loaded with a rock-climbing wall, inflatables, video entertainment, and more. Bring the whole family anytime or for LSU and Saints football. Come to Pearl River for the best date night your kids ever had.
When I was a kid, I was fascinated with trucks. I always wanted to be a truck driver.
What really makes Progressive Waste so special is our sensitivity to the environment.
I love keeping the community happy. It's my job.
This is what it's all about, delivering great customer service day in and day out. Keeping it safe on the streets, delivering quality service. You really know how to deliver. Thank you.
Woo-hoo! Progressive Waste, yeah!
Yeah, it took Brad 2 years to convince me to go to Iowa just to sit in a tree to film somebody else shooting some good deer. But once I did, I knew I was hooked. I had a chance to film some of those guys shooting some deer for our upcoming episodes, and it took me 3 years to draw a tag for Iowa, but I knew this year it was my turn.
Alright, I decided to hunt a new spot today, this evening. It's Friday evening, we got one more morning hunt. Saturday morning before we leave, headed back home. Skip and I seen a lot of deer from this stand right here last year when I was up here filming him. He actually shot at one here and killed another one here and shot a doe here. So we seen a lot of bucks right here. Always traveling these ridges looking for does. So I snuck in here midday today. It's about 1 o'clock. I snuck in. I'm gonna sneak real quietly and get up in the stand, and I look over to my right in this draw beside me, and there's a doe standing there 20 yards wide open, just standing there watching me. She stood up just watching me. So I just act like I don't see her, and I just keep walking on down by the stand, and she stood there the whole time and watched me get all the way up into the stand, and then she walks up to the top of the hill. What she don't know is I have a doe tag in my pocket also, along with a buck tag that I haven't used. So, she might better not come back through here looking to see if I made it in the tree all right, because I'll show her. I think this is a good spot. We'll see. We'll see what happens. The wind's kind of bad, which is still changing, so I don't know which way it's going to be blowing when it gets through switching. So, all I can hope for is they come from the other way, and I'll get them. turned off the trail. He took a left off the trail. I have to run him back. He turned. Well, he stopped at 35 yards, but he was standing right by a tree. I didn't feel comfortable trying to squeeze a shot in between the trees that was there, but he stopped broadsided and stayed there for long enough to get my bow back and everything. But we got one more chance in the morning, and then we pack up and head back. So I'll draw my last straw in the morning and hunt here again, probably. Probably leave all my stuff in here, that way I can sneak in and sneak out. That buck came in straight behind me. If he'd have stayed on the trail that he was walking, he would have passed within 5 yards of my tree. Well, what do? You just try it one more time. That's what you do. I don't know, it's getting down to the wire. It usually happens always on the last day, though. This will be no different.
Happy Camper Service Center is your Christian-owned and operated RV parts and service center. Interior customizing, RV appliance repair, towing accessories, enclosed trailer conversions, roof installation and maintenance are just a few things we offer. We accept extended warranties and insurance claims to get you back to camping. Can't bring it in? We'll come to you. We offer mobile units across the entire Gulf Coast. We're located at 40 Howell Road in Picayune, Mississippi.
Wouldn't you like to be a happy camper too?
Louisiana Outdoors on I-59 and Pearl River is the most comprehensive full-service archery pro shop in the Southeast, complete with an indoor range, techno-hunt video system, and an outdoor elevated shooting tower. We carry beginner and advanced lines such as Matthews, Hoyt, PSC, and Mission. We also stock all of your quality hunting needs and brands like Old Man, Millennium, Summit, Matthews Apparel, and much more.
Look for the big truck
On I-59 and Pearl River.
Hey guys, preseason scouting can make all the difference of knowing the routine of that big buck that you're trying to get your sights on. And with today's technology, trail cameras can give you some of the best scoop on where he's at and what he's doing. And on this Louisiana Outdoors TSO field tip, we're going to take a look at some things that can help you get the most out of your trail camera setup. One mistake I see a lot of people making is the direction that it's facing. Most of our deer activity will be early in the morning or late in the evening when the sun is low in the sky. So never set your camera up facing due east or due west. If you do, we've all seen it. You'll get a picture of something with the glare of the sun in the background so bright you may not be able to see what triggered the shot. Always pay attention to where the sun is setting and where the sun is rising. Your focus may be different depending on what time of the year that it is. For early season, I like to focus on trails to and from food sources because that's where the deer are going to be. At this time of the year, they need to fatten up for the upcoming winter. Early season rubs are not very good because once he rubs the velvet off his antlers, he probably won't come back to that spot much during the daylight. We've all seen those small sapling rubs dry up and never be hit again. Now mid-season bucks, they're not focusing on food as much, but they are focusing on love. Set your cameras up on scrapes, rubs, and trails next to a thick area because many times I've seen bucks skirting the downwind side of a thicket checking to see if there are any does in it. I've also seen bucks taking the same trail halfway up draws and ridges and following the contour of the land checking for does. Like the deer that I shot. He came by the same trail 3 times in a row, which luckily turned out to be 1 time too many. And when the rut's over, you might notice bucks coming out into the open more often into the food plots because in late winter, food is harder to find and they can be forced to needing to come out in the open more often during daylight. And during this time, a plot watcher can be the best camera to use because it can cover the entire field all day on a time-lapse setting. So keep your grunt call in your pocket, an arrow knocked, and your bow in your hand. And I hope this week's Louisiana Outdoors TSO field tip helps you make one's tongue stick out.
And I tell you what, there's a spot over there. I visited Dave about 10 years ago and I hunted in there, saw some deer. We always hunt on the other side of that road. There's a big ridge line running over on this side, but it's not a big piece of property. And we've been coming up here filming the last couple of years. I wanted to look at it. We just took a walk in there, looking around. There's a bedding area up there. I bet you 8 does took off in every direction. It's crisscrossed with trails. Just wait till we get in there one morning. They're gonna be coming off the backside of that bean field we'll get in there before daylight. It's gonna be on in there. I can't wait. That spot looked hot, but it was a few days before I could pull myself away from a hunt to hang a stand in there. And then I had to let it cool off a couple of days. We finally had a break from the wind. It was good and cold, and the deer seemed like they were starting to move. Plenty of deer on the first day, but no shooters. But it was starting to get good and cold, and the deer were starting to move. But I wasn't expecting to see the movement I was about to see. Something must have pushed these deer because this was crazy. So with all those deer coming in, I knew there had to be a good deer in there somewhere. He took his sweet time getting there, This old big boy finally shows up in the frenzy, mouth open and nose to the trail, but he was going the other way. I'm throwing everything I can at him. I'm grunting, I'm snort wheezing. He's not paying any attention to me. If a deer's going the other way, I'm gonna throw everything but the kitchen sink at him. The only thing he can do is continue to go on the other way. But sometimes you'll turn him around. He's coming down the ravine, and with a right, he's coming to me, and a left, he's going to the field with the does.
He's going away.
So I guess he decided he would rather go over there with those does than come over and let me send one through his double lungs. But at least we know he's in here. During the last couple of days, we had seen 3 shooters pass under the tree on the other side of that ravine. And tomorrow morning was our last hunt. It was a miserable thought to pull 2 stands, a set of stick ladders, and all the camera gear, climb a steep ravine and set it all up again, in the dark. But I didn't come here for the scenery, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to kill a good buck. If that's where the deer are, that's what I'm gonna do. So I asked Jake if he'll help me to move all that gear to the other side. Will you help me move it over there? How far? Right over there on the other side of that creek. Yeah. Well, let's do it. Let's hurry up and get out of here. Fast. If you're like me, you like to bow hunt because it's a challenge. And it's a challenge not only because you have to be close, but you're using equipment that takes a whole lot more skill to master than some of the others out there. And in this Louisiana Outdoors TSO field tip, we're going to look at some things about your archery equipment that can help you get the best performance in the field. A well-tuned bow doesn't only shoot a straighter arrow, it's also faster and more forgiving if we make a mistake. And the goal of tuning is to try to get that arrow to come out of that bow as centered and as efficiently as possible. And the way to do this is to try to ensure your bow is set to factory specs. Things like axle to axle, brace height, cam timing, and arrow rest adjustment. And the first thing we're going to take a look at is axle to axle. Axle to axle is the measurement between the pin, which is the axle that connects your cam to your limbs from the top to the bottom. Axle to axle is adjusted by the length of your string and your cables. If you put twist into your string and cables or take them out, it's going to change that length. It's also going to change your brace height, which is the measurement between the throat of your grip and the string. As you change these, it's going to affect the performance of your bow. It's also potentially going to affect the weight or the poundage that you get out of your bow according to the manufacturer's specifications. And the next thing we look at is going to be cam timing. Cam timing on a dual cam bow is a little bit more important because you have 2 cams that have to work in conjunction with each other. If one cam reaches the end of its power stroke before the other, you can imagine that you have an unequal force on the string. And this can cause things like knock travel, which could cause erratic arrow flight. But probably one of the most important things about tuning your bow is going to be the center shot. Center shot is the adjustment of your arrow rest, left, right, and up and down, to get the best arrow flight coming out of your bow. If it's not right, you'll notice things like fishtailing or porpoising. An arrow flying at an angle as it hits its mark is trying to drive through sideways rather than straight. So a straight flying arrow is going to be a deeper penetrating arrow. So keep the wind in your face, the sun to your back, and your bow in your hand. And I hope this Louisiana Outdoors TSO field tip helps you make one's tongue stick out. So here we are. We slip in nice and early, cool off, settle in, and wait for the action to get started. And I guess if it wasn't for bad luck on this trip, I'd have none at all. Once again, the Iowa weather changes, and there I sit in my hot spot, wishing I had a kite to fly in this 40-mile-an-hour wind. The only hope we have left on this last morning is that Jeremy gives us something to finish this show off with.
Now wait a minute. That means I have to kill something in order to show all the footage of you not killing something? And if I could pull it off, you think maybe next time I could have my own cameraman?
Nope, it's just like my bad luck. You have to bring your own.
Well, my trip wasn't useless after all. So far I killed a coyote. He came in and stopped in the trail up there where I ranged it at 25 yards earlier, and I pinwheeled him straight through the heart. He flopped about 8 yards. He's laying right up there. I had a nice buck come in right at daylight this morning. Another 10 minutes of light and I probably could have got a shot at him. 10-day trip and it's down to the wire, so I got one coyote down. Heaven forbid something else walk out.
Rotolo's Pizzeria and Kids Fun Zone, located in Pearl River, Louisiana, is a full-service restaurant and sports bar featuring 13 big-screen TVs, Italian cuisine, and weekly live music for mom and dad, all while the kids enjoy supervised play in the 3,000-square-foot Fun Zone, loaded with a rock-climbing wall, inflatables, video entertainment, and more. Bring the whole family anytime or for LSU and Saints football. Come to Pearl River for the best date night your kids ever had.
Been an eventful morning. The first buck before daylight skirted me, and I don't know how big he was. He looked big, but the big ones always get away. He looked big, but he skirted around. Didn't ever even get a shot on him. The second one, he come from the right side of me, from this ridge, and come through, and I was going to have a perfect 25-yard shot the first time. And as soon as he jumped a little ravine there, he took off running up the hill through the opening that I had. Made me mad. I was so frustrated. Been here 10 days, today being the last day, and every deer was skirting me and just getting around me. So when I looked over there and I seen him coming back through, I said, I'm shooting toward him. And it all played out. I'm sorry about the shot, but that same buck, you're not going to believe this, that skirted me this morning, went all the way around me, he came back through. And he was going to skirt me again. I grunted at him again, and he just had no interest in it. So I looked down the hill about where he was going to cross. I didn't know the distance, and I looked at it and I said, that's a long ways. I said, I'm going to put my 50-yard pin
That's the furthest pin I have. I said, I'm going to put my 50-yard pin on him. So I bleeded and stopped him. And when I did, he stopped and looked up the hill, and I squeezed it off. And about time that it went off, he stepped forward. I tell you, but I still got him. Smoked him.
Well, congratulations.
"10 days in Iowa, and it comes down to the very last morning." I tell you what, you know, I'm not one to brag. You know, I know Brad's put in his homework and he's, you know, moved his stands around and all that, but he will never be the hunter that I am. I mean, yeah, I killed one on the last day. That's because I waited till the last day. I knew I could do it. So why shoot something on the first day and be a cameraman the rest of the time while you're here? Just wouldn't make sense, would it? No. I know I'm way better hunter than Brad is. You know, not to brag or anything. I'm not bragging or anything, but that's pretty freaking good shoot right there. I mean, who couldn't kill a little old Iowa buck? They're running around out here like freaking poodles. They just everywhere, so, you know, not to brag or anything. I mean, who couldn't kill a little Iowa buck? They're running around out here like freaking poodles.
Louisiana Outdoors on I-59 and Pearl River is the most comprehensive full-service archery pro shop in the Southeast, complete with an indoor range, techno-hunt video system, and an outdoor elevated shooting tower. We carry beginner and advanced lines such as Matthews, Hoyt, PSC, and Mission. We also stock all of your quality hunting needs and brands like Old Man, Millennium, Summit, Matthews Apparel, and much more.
Look for the big truck!
On I-59 and Pearl River.
Mom's eyes with Dad's smile, Grandpa's spirit, and Grandma's grace. Our children inherit this earth. Let's leave them something worth holding on to. Recycling is now available for homes and businesses in your area. Think beyond today. To find out more, go to progressivewaste.com.